What's up, Les?
Hello.
How's it going?
You look a little formal. What's going on? You sitting there like you're either up to
I'm
something or
relaxed. I'm
you have to go
tired.
to the bathroom. Trying to hold it
I'm
in.
I'm tired.
Me too. I just got in from work.
Yeah. That's all. But feeling good. I had a nice full day and feeling good. Very productive day.
I'm glad. Well, yeah,
Hmm.
you'll tell me about it.
I
Welcome to
will.
another episode of Black Boomer Besties from Brooklyn.
Brooklyn. Hey, hey, hey.
Hey, I'm Les. That's Ange over there,
And Ange, Leslie's friend,
right?
Leslie's sidekick.
Exactly.
Who's who's
Exactly.
um who's who's Johnny Carson and who's Ed McMahon?
You can be Johnny Carson. I'll be Egg McMahon. Let me tell you why.
Did you say Egg McMahon?
Ed McMuffin.
Why?
Ange,
Yes, and
I
once she starts with that, I'm in trouble. I'm in trouble. Yes.
I was thinking, I realized that I'm the sidekick when I was just thinking, I can't believe you got me doing a podcast. I'm
I
a
know.
doggone podcast co-host. How do I know? I see the logo on my car, in the car window. I'm like, I look in my bag, and everywhere I go, there's cards.
Yeah,
I'm not at the
yeah.
point yet where people recognize me on the street, but
That will come.
that will come.
That
That
will
will come.
come.
But
Yep.
Ange,
I
we're
know.
almost like a year in, and we have been putting out a podcast, and you got me doing this. I would never think that this is something that I would be doing.
I
What the
know.
heck?
I know. I'm I'm pleasantly surprised that you said yes. I kind of knew that you would at least try it,
Why? Because
but
like I try anything that you have me do. What?
you're coachable. You're coachable, and
Listen,
you're persuadable.
I thank God you haven't gotten me hooked on crack or whatever.
Stop
You
it.
know.
Stop it.
Listen,
Stop it. Well,
you know,
that's why you say yes, because
you know how
you
they do.
trust
They
me.
they feed you in. They feed you and they give you a little for free. So this is what you've been telling me. Like you've been telling me a couple months before we started the podcast. Like, Les, you could do this. Come on, you could do this. I'll do all
Yeah.
the work. That's the free stuff. I'll do all
Yeah.
the work. You just have to show up. So in other words, you've been grooming me for
You
45
have
years.
for such a time as
For such
this.
a time as
For
this.
such a time as
And here
this.
I'm a
You
podcast
know,
coach.
this is why I knew that you would at least give it a try.
How?
And if you if you wanted to back out, I would have found another way to configure this without you because I wouldn't
I
have
thought you were going to say
twisted your
that
arm.
you would have just found another way to convince me to stay because that's what would have
No,
happened.
no, 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 no. Well, it really depends on why you said no. If there are a lot of reasons that if you said no, I would not persuade you. But if I knew that it was fear or you just being too much in your head about it, I would, I would, I would try. But I know for me, if I felt like you were not in it, then I wouldn't be in it.
First of
And
all, wait,
then
wait, wait. I thought this was a safe space.
for what?
No
What do you
means
mean?
no. No doesn't mean no
I,
with you. That's what I'm saying. It's like, I'm
well,
not
I'm going
sure
to
if you're my
explain.
enabler.
Let me explain. Let me explain, Lucy.
Okay, go ahead.
Okay, so I know that oftentimes when I push you beyond where you're comfortable, you're grateful afterwards, right?
That's
And
true.
I know what I am not willing to do, right? I'm not willing to make you look stupid. I'm not willing to stress you out. I'm not willing to um, make you have regrets. None of that.
Right. That's not your aim.
And you know that.
Yeah.
And
And that's
so
trust.
yeah, and so
Yeah, I
within
trust you.
that, exactly. So that has to come first. So it's not like this flip thing that has to come first. And so I wasn't sure um whether you were gonna keep it up. And there are points along the way that I checked in. It might not have been obvious, but I checked in to see if we were, having the same energy, or if your energy was even higher than mine around it. And it proved to be, um, you know,
Mm-hmm.
true that you were really into it and enjoying it and so on. But I know
Mm-hmm.
that kind of, that's who I am for you a lot of the time. And this is what I want to know. When did that flip? Because there was a time in our friendship where you were the enabler, you were the one
Mm-hmm.
who would
Mm-hmm.
get me to take risks and so on. When did that flip? When did you become a stodgy old lady?
When did I become safe?
I like stodgy better. I like stodgy better. When did
But you're right. We kind
when
of
did you
flipped
become an
roles
old
a
stick
little
in the
bit.
mud? I know
I
our
need to
roles
flip
flip.
back. I need to flip back and be
No,
the
because
alpha dog in this
you used
relationship.
to call me. Well, you and the rest of our friends, you used to come to me for moral advice. I was like the moral majority. Ange is up and up. She's not gonna.
Mm-hmm.
Ange, I was thinking about no, no, don't do it, don't do it. But it
Don't
was
do it.
around,
Don't go over the fence. That's like that time recently when I went when I went to the ball game.
Uh huh.
I
Oh yes,
met
yes, yes,
some
yes.
coworkers and we went to see the ball game. And Somerset Patriots play at the TD Bank Stadium in Bridgewater or
What
whatever.
is that? A D League team or something?
No, it's
What?
the no, it's the Yankees. The pier under them. What does that mean?
Oh,
The
it's
A
like
League.
they're.
There, I don't know. I don't know.
It's the team that they pull their people from.
Yeah. Okay.
Got you.
Yeah.
Oh, I didn't know
So
that.
it's big stuff. So
Yeah, yeah.
anyway, so I went to the game last week, and it's right across the street from a Target shopping mall and
Hmm.
whatever.
Can I tell you how it happened? I want to tell you how I heard it. You
Okay.
were so you were so concerned about
I
doing something that
I
was that was
I could have. Here's the
like.
thing. Look, I could have paid $5 to park at the stadium,
Hmm.
or I could have paid this many dollars to park in the Target lot. I parked in the Target lot. I was so afraid.
Well, Leslie, that's like
Remember, I
five
was
dollars.
talking
That's
to
five
you.
dollars worth of stress. You were so
Listen,
anxious.
I got $15 worth of stress because I was so nervous about parking where I wasn't supposed to be parking. First of all, I did see a sign that said only customers can park here. And I'm like, oh my God, they know, they
It
know.
wasn't like,
And
comma,
then
Leslie.
listen, I pretended like to walk into the entrance of the Target, and then
Okay,
I doubled
wait.
back into the stadium. Listen, by the
Leslie.
time I got to my seat, by the time I got into the stadium, I was all anxious and twitchy and nervous. I'm like, you know what? This is ridiculous.
It's not
Les,
worth it. You're not built
Les,
for that
I'm not
anymore.
built for that.
You're
That's just
not.
not me anymore.
You're not. You're
And I
not.
had $5.
You're not. Um, a Johnny calls that Auntie Leslie BC. That's this is this is the way it used to be before Christ.
I guess so. I'm like, what
No,
am I
the
doing
the
parking in
this is
some illegal lot for what? And then I was like, I hope my car is there. Because, in the Brooklyn days, when you do that, your car will not be there.
Right, right. But okay, really,
They
I want
hired, in Brooklyn, they hired people to stand and watch, like neighborhood people to stand and watch people park and walk out. And
right.
I guess they'd pay them and then they'd call the tow truck. Your car
Oh,
would be gone.
wow. 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 And what they get like $5 to tell
Yeah,
to
who
be a
knows? But I
snitch.
guess, things are always different in Brooklyn. In Jersey, they don't care. It's kind of like in
Right.
Florida, mayhem.
So really, I want you to think about happened. What happened to make this switch? When did this switch happen? Like around when? College or around when? Because you used to
Well,
convince me to do. There are
well,
things that I wouldn't tell, even though both my parents have passed away, I still wouldn't say it out loud.
but not illegal, immoral things.
Okay. Is that what we're saying? No.
Oh,
Is that the story
Ange,
we're
are
saying
you
on the air?
outing
No.
me in public? Little
Oh my
old
God.
me. All right.
Like,
I really don't know what you're referring to. We were a little more crazy and adventurous, I would say.
yeah.
But
Okay.
what give me like
Okay. So
give me for instance.
one example
Am I
when we
gonna be
went,
okay you saying this out loud?
pardon?
Am I gonna be okay with you revealing this?
I don't know. I don't know. But just one example, right,
Okay.
is when we went to that speakeasy. Um, I forget the name of it. I don't even know if it exists anymore. And we were of
What was
age,
wrong
so
with
it's not
that?
like, well, it was just it was a place with much older people. We we were the youngest in there by far,
It was just me and
and
you?
it was just you and I and everybody else. We were in our 20s, Les.
Are we talking about Chelsea Place?
Chelsea Place, yes, that's the name of
Oh,
it.
yeah.
And it was like Bobby Short was on the piano, or his cousin was on the piano, and it was so much fun. But that's never anything I would do without you saying, "Come on, Ange."
That wasn't me.
It was in fact you.
That
And
wasn't
don't let me
me.
go further.
Don't go further.
Don't let me go further, because what a night was had. A night was had.
Mm-hmm.
But so that, for example, that's not something I would have thought of to do by myself. And I would only have done that with you. So
Yes, I
we,
guess I've changed. Well, you know what I think maybe it is? I got burned out early.
so no, that's not. I don't know. I don't know.
But
It was
but
fun though.
but I'll tell you another thing. I became a mom before you did.
Yes,
And
that's true.
that because let's say Omari is about 7 years older than
And Kai.
mhm,
Yeah.
maybe 7 or 8.
Yeah.
So I was a mom first, and
Right.
motherhood lends itself to cutting out
Right.
the foolishness and getting
Right. Right.
serious.
Right. Right.
I
Okay,
think
but when
that
did
could
it
have been.
flip? So now we know why you stopped. But when did it flip?
When did you become irreverent and and out there?
Oh my gosh. And it's, yeah, it's very very interesting. We have to
And I
actually,
well, the other thing for me too, it's just that well, I guess as you get older, you get calmer
right.
and the adventure. I'm not going to say my life isn't adventurous right now, but I'm going to say
Right.
that
It's different.
I got a lot of that behind me. I took care
Yeah.
of that already.
Right. Right.
And then what else I think really changed me?
Mm.
My husband.
Yeah, that's true. That's true.
Because you know, Ern and I are very different,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
very different people.
Right. Right.
So
Right.
and he and I have been together so long that he being the, more sedate, introverted
Hmm.
person and whatever, it's like I had to take my shenanigans underground. Oh, they're still
Wait,
in there. I just
you
keep them
threw
in my
you
pocket.
threw me you threw me the ball so I would run with it.
Exactly,
Take
exactly.
this, Ange. Oh my gosh.
you
Yeah, I was
know,
talking to someone the other day and I was telling them uh, that if I had stayed with my children's father, um, I think that I would have been a very different person, and I think they would have been
mm,
very different
how so? How
people
would you have
too.
been different?
Um, I I don't think that I would really be fully myself. I think that I would have conformed a lot more than I am. I'm not
And what
really a
would that have looked
conformist.
like conforming in that relationship?
I think I would have tried to fit into a mold. Um, I was much more of a people pleaser then, and I think just to keep the peace, I would have, um, not asserted my needs, or um, I would have, I would have allowed him to be the dominant
Mm.
decision maker and things like that. I think. And I know that even if I didn't, there would have been a lot of dissonance for
It's
me.
funny that you bring that up, Ange, because
Mm,
this gets into a longer conversation that we might be prepared to have here. But I'm thinking about a Christian marriage, a quote unquote Christian marriage,
mm-hmm,
and where you said that he would be the dominant person.
mm-hmm,
Some Christian husbands would call that an appropriate response to him being the head of the household,
right.
and that the wife, as the helpmeet, should fall in line, or take a different role, a lesser
Mm-hmm,
role in some respects.
right.
You know what I mean?
I
So,
do.
as Christian women, and as then you being a Christian married woman, what would have been so wrong with allowing your spouse to be, in your words, the dominant, or my words, the head of the household?
Well, um, I
I
wouldn't
know that's a
frame it
loaded
in the
question.
kind of what would have been so wrong. I frame it more in that is not my nature, and so I feel like I would have really masked myself to
Mm.
fit into that, and it would have shown up in other ways. You know, what I mean that the fact that I wasn't being fully myself, trying to fit into a mold versus creating another way to be in a Christian marriage. That's just one way. It's not. It's not the only way, as I always say. There's a. I understand the whole. There has to be a leader and things like that, and the order around those traditions.
Hmm.
Um, I am more a spirit of the law versus a letter of the law Christian, right? Why did God structure things that way? And does that why fit into the context of how we live now? Is that the way that showed up at that time because the why fit in the why worked that way then, but the why works this way now. So yeah, there should be order. Um, well, women no longer are stuck in certain roles in society, right?
Hmm.
Whereas back
Hmm.
then, there were few
There were
other
more
options.
limited. Yeah.
So that's what you did. And so I don't I don't believe that there are these yeah, I believe in the spirit of the law, not the letter of the law,
Mm-hmm.
if that makes sense. And so I think that I would have reached a point where I realized that I couldn't do it.
In the way that in the way that it was previously, in that.
In the traditional
Mm-hmm.
way. And sometimes, the there is a possible scenario where the husband would understand and would adjust.
And
It's not,
that's what I'm thinking. I'm
mhm,
thinking that
but
it's
not that
likely.
husband.
Right. Ooh, let's move on. um, no, because I was thinking that your ideas and the way you live your life doesn't
Mhm.
preclude you getting into another Christian centered relationship.
Yeah,
It just depends on who your partner is
yeah,
and
of
what their
course.
ideals are and beliefs and priorities.
Yeah, that
When,
is,
as I understand it, the Bible doesn't necessarily mean that the man is or that the spouse is better than,
mhm.
you know, their spouse. It's just that it gets complicated. And
I don't know if it's all that complicated, to be honest.
how so? I
So,
think
for
so.
example, for example, right? If the kind of um, necessary components of things to work is that there is a way to decide um, which decision is going to be the one that moves forward, right? So there
Mm-hmm.
needs to be a way to do that. So it's not just back and forth, struggling and whatever. So there needs to be that. There needs to be some order around who's going to do what. There needs to be some order around what the other person does when there is a decision, but the other person isn't bought into the decision. So
Mm.
if you think of it like that, just kind of at a 10,000-foot level, then it gets kind of simple, right? Then so
That's
it's
just
not
like
necessarily.
saying, as long as you do these 50 things, then it'll get simple.
Well, it's no. I mean, it's just like anything else, right? When there's a process or an order around something, you can bake it down to 5 steps, and those 5 steps can have 10 steps within them or 50 steps within them. But you can also take it to the top level and say these are the 5 steps. So I'm just kind of saying that if if those are kind of the elements of what makes a partnership work,
Mm-hmm.
the parts that I think are placed on relationships are the man does that and the woman does that versus someone does that.
Right. Yeah.
So
We talked about
so
this a little bit in our partnering
yeah,
episode, remember?
right. And I think that people have different strengths. I think it puts pressure sometimes on men who don't necessarily want to play that role to kind of fake it and play that role because that is what they believe that they ought to be doing. So that's an example. I don't
Well,
have to go into it
but
more,
yeah,
but
and the only thing that I want to say about it, where I see potential conflict, is with those partners who are more likely to yield to the letter of the law
mm-hmm,
when they're in relationships where another partner may be more in the spirit of the law,
Right.
and finding that balance,
Right. Right.
Yeah.
And the another thing, important thing that I've learned is not every Christian is an individual. It's more than having a Christian spouse or partner
Oh,
that
yeah, for
that would make
sure.
it work.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
I learned that too.
And I'm still learning that.
Yeah.
And I'm still learning that.
Yeah. It's very interesting.
It is. On another note,
Hmm.
so you said that you've been busy today and you've had a
Yes,
full day.
I have.
Want to talk about any of it?
Sure. So I started my day at therapy. I go to therapy each week, and um, it was amazing. I don't know if I told you, but I chose between physical therapy on my ankle or mental therapy on my thinking. And I chose the mental therapy because I can do the physical therapy at home. And I
That's a good choice. That was a good uh cho- way of deciding to make the choice.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, um, and
There's a
very
name for that.
revealing.
There's a name for
Pardon?
that you call it when you make that kind of decision. What is that called?
What
It's
is the
something
name
that
for?
you've like when you the process of weighing two different things. I think there's a name that you have for that. But go
Oh,
ahead.
I, I don't know. I come up with names all the time. I
You
don't know.
do. And I always say, is that a corporate name? Is
Yeah,
that
and
a
then you
corporate
take
thing?
it.
And then I take it all in the wrong direction.
Then you.
But
So that
anyway.
was a great way to start the day. And then I met with a potential client about
Mm,
half an hour after that. And that was also amazing. It's someone who I really admire. And I am so flattered that she admires me too.
mhm.
And I'm looking forward to working with her. And then I was at a coffee shop, so I stayed there and worked there for a few hours, maybe 3 or 4 hours.
Mhm.
And then I'm on a board of a nonprofit locally, and the executive director has resigned, and so another board member and I planned his farewell
Oh,
get
nice.
together, and so
Hmm.
we went to that next, and that was really sweet. I'm so
Geez, you've had a
happy
full
for.
day.
Yeah, I
Whoa.
had a really full day, really,
Like a
really
real
full day,
adult.
and it was good. Pardon?
Like a real adult doing
Like a
all these
real grown
things,
up.
different things.
Yes, all the things, and
Me,
now I'm
I
back
was in
here.
the OR all day.
I know. I tried
I,
to.
s- I told my chief, I'm not used to being in an OR for 11 hours. It's like I'm a little too old for this now. My last
I.
case was over 5 hours long,
That's crazy.
you know?
I know. I appreciate, by the way, that you, whenever possible, you're always okay. Anything urgent? Okay, gotta go. Um, so yeah, but I knew it was going to be an intense day for you when you're like that. So you're
So
like,
I'll just mention one of my patients. I was speaking to the patient, and they said to me after I was explaining the anesthesia, they had had many surgeries previously, and they said,
mhm,
why do I need to be paralyzed? And I said, well, the type of surgery that you're going to, no, no, no. Yeah, she asked, why did she need to be paralyzed?
mhm,
And I said, well, you need to be on a ventilator because for whatever reason, and they need to do the operation on your abdomen. So you won't be able to breathe on your own. And I need to put you on the ventilator. And I explained the steps and whatever. And she said, why has nobody ever mentioned that to me before?
Wow.
She said, I had a lot of surgeries and nobody ever said that to me.
That's a
And that,
shame.
isn't it awful? And it reminded me of my stupid surgeon, no, anesthesiologist when I had
Yeah.
my kidney removed.
Yeah.
I should say kidney donated.
Mm-hmm.
That he said he comes in and he just says, you're going to go to sleep and you're going to wake up. And I looked around and I'm like, well, what kind of crap is that? What am I, a toddler?
Mm.
I mean,
Mm-mm-mm.
I am going to be with this person in the operating room, and I shouldn't respect them enough to let them know what the plan is and, what's going to
Yeah.
happen. And
Yeah.
the
Yeah.
patient was very nervous at the time, but explaining that to them made them
Mm-hmm.
a lot calmer.
Right. Right.
So before I left for the evening, I went back into the recovery room and
Mm-hmm.
spoke to them. And I was dressed like this because I had changed out of my scrubs and scrub hat and whatever.
Mm-hmm.
And they said, who are you? Like, why are you talking to me? They're kind of groggy. And I said, I'm your doctor, Dr. Osei Tutu. I'm the doctor that put you to sleep, your anesthesiologist, remember? And they said, no, you're not.
Oh
I said,
no.
you don't remember my glasses? I know I look different, but the
Right.
glasses,
Right. Wow.
the one
Wow.
that gave you all that good information in the beginning.
She
Still
probably
me.
they probably remember it by now. Like
Maybe,
now.
yeah, maybe,
But
maybe. But most times, if you speak to patients in the recovery room, the surgeon or me, they don't remember having had that conversation at all. In fact, some of the patients will complain and say, they never talked to me and told me what happened. That's why we
wow.
always speak to family members because the
Yeah.
patients are, they're in la la land. They're like, you will
I
not
see.
remember any of this.
I see. I see. So it was that uncommon for
It's something I hear very frequently, believe it or not. No one has ever explained this to me. I didn't know that you do this. I never
right.
had my anesthesiologist talk to me like this. And I'm like,
Wow.
really?
Wow.
Really? First of all, you know me, I like talking.
Mm.
And I don't get the opportunity to speak to patients very often because my patients are asleep.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
I got to get in my hours worth of talk in 10 minutes,
Yeah. Yeah.
But I enjoy talking to patients because it's a tough time,
Mm-hmm.
I'd
Mm-hmm.
be nervous too.
Right. Right.
This is not something they do all the time,
Yeah.
and how would they know?
Yeah. Yeah. Well, they had a very good anesthesiologist.
I'd
That I know
say,
to be true.
I'd
That
say,
I know to be true. Yeah.
yeah.
Excellent. Okay. So
I think
I
we had a
am
nice little conversation here, my friend, my tired
we
friend. You
did.
look tired.
I know. I'm tired. I look tired. Okay, let me wake up.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I
I'm
feel, in
hiding.
fact,
I'm
I'm
hiding
wondering if
behind
you
my
all hear
glasses.
my stomach growling a little bit.
I don't. Sorry, that was loud putting my
I
glasses
said
on.
to you, let's do some recording. I can record as long as I don't have any alcohol, because then I'll be out. But now I can have alcohol because we're about done.
I tried coffee, but coffee doesn't really um it doesn't really I just enjoy drinking it. It doesn't really keep
Right,
me up.
right. It doesn't keep me up either.
Mm-hmm.
You're a copycat in that regard.
I am. I am.
All right.
All right, sweetie. Good to catch up with you. I
I
didn't get to talk to
know.
you all day today. Well, just briefly.
Yeah, yeah. I was so busy today, but now I can. All right.
You
This
have to
has
make
been
it up to me
another.
tomorrow.
How so? Oh, by talking to you for a couple of hours. Remember?
No, not a couple of hours, like 4 times
No, that's
to
quite all
make
right.
up for.
But remember a few days ago when we were having a meeting and we were on the Zoom. It was a Zoom FaceTime meeting. 4.5 hours. I'm like, I
It
got
was
to
four and a
go.
half hours, but we planned
Remember,
out so
we
much. We
did.
cleaned
It
up.
was a work meeting.
It was a work meeting, and It was so productive.
We
So
got a lot done.
I'm not mad at it. I'm not
Hmm.
mad at it.
Yeah.
Okay. Why you bring it up then?
I'm just like, your voice is very familiar to me. I need a break. Not true. I'm just
We
kidding.
checked a lot of things off the list, so I'm
Yes.
good. Anywho,
All right, pal. Thank
all right,
you.
pal. You're
This
welcome.
has been
Talk to you
another
later.
episode of Black Boomer Besties from Brooklyn. This was like being a fly on the wall
It
episode, wouldn't you
was.
say?
It was. Can I say my Brooklyn first?
Oh,
Brooklyn. Yes, this was a fly on the wall. And this is how it's going to be sometimes because
sometimes,
you are in
yeah,
the
because we
Angie and
just have
Leslie
things to say.
show.
Yeah. So listen, that just reminds me before I go out, I've been listening to a podcast,
Hmm.
and we're not sponsored, but it's called Fly on the Wallin'.
Okay.
I think that's the name of it. It's a interracial couple,
Hmm.
um, and they just talk about she's a creative. Uh, I'm not sure what he does. He's probably a creative also, and they have a cute little baby, and they're funny as all heck. And I've just been laughing and listening to the fly on the wall. And
Oh, okay. So is that what you're saying? This was
so,
that?
yeah, this was like a fly on the wall
Ah,
with the
got it.
besties.
Okay, got it.
All right.
All right. See you later. Love you.
Bye now.